Welcome to my designer class. My name is Mercy and I sell Stampin' Up! Products. In today's class, I'm going to show you how I made this beautiful card from the Home to Roost set. This is a celebration item, so you can earn it for free with the $50 order. Okay, so I was really excited. I wanted a sunrise scene, or it could be a sunset, whatever way you want to think about it. But I wanted to keep the background and the framing very simple, so your eye is really drawn to this bright, colorful scene. So I came up with sort of a template, if you will. So I will show you that. So here I started off by masking and adding this black hill. Then I added a Flirty Flamingo layer, but I did mask it at this point, and so forth. And so I kind of explain that here. I don't know if that will be too helpful, but I will now just start to show you, and then you can see, just how that would work. Okay, so one of the things that can be helpful is to have something that is laminated or a surface that is kind of slick. So just one thought. Oh, I think I'm trying to find, oh, here's my paper. I was like, oh, I think I didn't bring my paper, but I did. No worries. Okay, so here's my Whisper White cardstock, and I will start off by putting this mask right up against the top right corner. And then I will consistently, if I made a bunch of these, I would have the same hill precisely. And I did kind of freehand draw this. So with this part, you just want to make it as dark as possible. Nothing really complicated. Probably this is the easiest portion, but it's all pretty simple. It's nothing too complicated. I don't want to pretend to be the best at sponging, but you can see even with like some simple sponging, you can really get a beautiful scene. So I hope you can sit back and enjoy this. I really do enjoy doing sunset scenes. You will go through a lot of black ink, so you definitely will want to have your re-inker handy. I'm actually going to need to reorder some of that re-inker. I've gone through quite a bit over the past year. All right, so because you don't want to get this black in it, it's good to go ahead and use your Simply Chamois and just clean it up, just to make sure that you're not like contaminating your scene. All right, and of course now it's slightly damp, so I will just bring in some grid paper. Oops, sorry about the racket. All right, so I don't want to have any dampness on that. I will bring it back in though, for sure. All right, so the mask. Here is my mask, and because I want to create a sunset, I have a sticky note, and this is like a super sticky, almost the whole sheet is sticky, and this is the 1 1/4 inch punch. So I'm just going to punch it out to create my sun. One side, only one part is not, so that part, now I went in about 1 inch to about 7/8 to 1 inch. So just mask, and now we will start our layers. Okay, so first we're going to add our Flirty Flamingo layer. So I will bring in my ink pad, and I'm not too concerned to get a little bit onto the black. So what I'm doing here is just essentially going right up to this hill, kind of as my starting point. And I won't worry too much if I get a little bit of the Flirty Flamingo into the black, because honestly, it is good to kind of come into this, but it's not super important with lighter colors. Darker colors it is. So here we go. Here's our first layer, and we will definitely be using that again, so I will leave that open. Next is our Melon Mambo label. So I do have a note here. Do not forget the sun mask, because guess what? I've done that. And it's really a bummer, because you just wasted a piece of cardstock. And that kind of doesn't make your day. All right, so here we go. And I'm not concerned to get into the Flirty Flamingo because these colors really blend beautifully together. So that's another little tip. No worries if you get into the Flirty Flamingo. All right, so next we have the blue, but before I do the blue, I'm going to create some streaks. And I want in the sunset, if you look at sunset pictures, a lot of them have like these streaks that are really pretty through. So I originally did this with mango melody, and it was just too intense. So I'm just using a sponge dauber, and I'm kind of trying to create like 3 streaks in the sky. You can see that it gets dark really easily, so I'm trying to go light, but this is a fairly light color. I preferred the lighter, but now we kind of, okay. So that is the pineapple punch. Now we are going to do the blue, and I would prefer now with this to bring in my slick piece of paper because I want to slowly incorporate this color. And the best way to do that is to start off the page like this and bring it in. If you go straight down, you tend to have marks. We will be putting a frame around this, so I'm not really concerned at the very edges if I get a little bit more than I wanted. And here's another tip. If you tap it, you can kind of disperse some of that ink a little bit too. So, but generally you want to start off on the edge and work your way in just to get a more of a subtle sky. And I'm trying not to get too much into the yellow. It doesn't blend too well, the blue. All right, so I'm pretty satisfied with that. I think that looks really pretty. Next, I will bring back in the Flirty Flamingo. I wanted my sky to look pretty pink. So this will, if you do this, and I want that, those streaks now to be blended in. So I am just going to go gangbusters here on the blending. And I think it looks really pretty to have a bunch of pink. Now, if you want to bring back in some other color, you can, but I want a lot of pink. If you want less pink, go a little lighter on this, this step. But I want it to be nice and pink and blended. Now, I am going to bring a little bit more of my yellow back in, because it is a little pink, and bring in some of that color. And that also blends well together because it's kind of in that same family. The other thing I wanted to mention is no 2 of these will be exactly alike. Even with the template and having like masking, you are still going to have very different cards each and every one, which is kind of fun too. Hopefully you'll like each and every one. I can't guarantee that. All right, so next I'm going to take off my mask, and there we have a very stark white. Now I do not want that. So what I'm going to do is come very lightly with the pineapple punch, and because we added so much color, you'll still get a real definition of that sun for the sunrise. So I think that's really pretty. I hope you agree with me. All right, so back with the Tuxedo black. Now we're going to bring in our stamps. So this is like reeds, I think. I don't know, wheat. I kind of actually called it wheat earlier, so I don't know what it is. But whatever it is, we want it to be very well inked because we are going to create a silhouette. So I want it to be about, an 1/8 or maybe not quite a 1/4, probably a 1/4 way down into that bank and about halfway into the sun. So hopefully I got it straight. Okay, so there we have our wheat. That's a silhouette. Isn't that pretty? And next step is we're going to color our rooster. I went ahead and stamped it. And the reason why I went ahead and stamped it is there is fussy cutting involved. And I did not want to take time to fussy cut. So I went ahead and did that step. I'm just going to turn this over so it's a little less distracting because of all the sponging stuff I did. All right, so with I colored with my blends. So I will bring those in right now don't get scared. It's really not as many as it looks. I started off with doing my Rooster's comb, and I decided to leave the eye open, but maybe I should have covered it. I don't know. Yeah, this time I'll cover it and see if I like it. So his little face is going to be all covered. I think it's maybe could have been, maybe I should have used the light red, real red on that. It looks kind of dark. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of the dark cherry cobbler, just to kind of have a little bit of shading. All right, so next I'm going to bring in the Mango Melody, and this is the light one. I sometimes start off with the light and go to dark, and sometimes the dark to light. Just depends on my mood, because it's my prerogative, right? I just think this whole sunset thing, or I want to keep saying sunset, but it's really more like a sunrise, because roosters crow in the morning, and that's their time, not sunset. I think it's really pretty. I've seen other cards doing this sort of idea, but I kind of came up with sort of my own thing. I did not directly copy off anyone. I do occasionally will do copies, but I always say if it is a direct copy, like sometimes from the catalog, and I also sometimes will try it on my own, but those that I've seen stuff exactly on Pinterest, but usually I end up varying it quite a bit, even if I'm not going to create a video. But most of my work, I try to keep authentic as much as I can. Of course, some people will have the exact same idea as me, so that I can't guarantee. But I try to come up with my own work and my own designs, because that's the whole fun of creating cards, is actually doing your own stuff. And Stampin' Up! Makes it very easy with all their color ideas, their beautiful choices. So I definitely like taking advantage of that. All right, so here I decided to go ahead with a little bit of silver. There are some chickens that have a lot of silver, but I think Rhode Island would definitely not have silver, but oh well. I'm just taking some artistic freedom. And I'm just kind of lightly hitting this. I don't want to really put a lot of color on it, and I don't mind if a little bit is kind of missing, if you will. So I'm just going to add a little shading here and there, just where I imagine it would be a little darker. So I think that looks pretty good. And then I kind of felt like this looks like straw down here, and this is the light pineapple punch blend. So I'm just going to add a little bit down here. It actually looks green, almost like a light green on here, but it really isn't. So that's kind of always interesting when something looks quite a bit different than what you expect. So here is our little rooster. He's very cute, I think. And I will bring back in the sunset scene, and we will start assembling. Now, one of the little touches I did was added a little baker's twine to my frame. But first we'll go ahead and score this. I haven't burnished it, it's already scored. I just like to make sure it's nice and straight. And actually we don't need this grid paper since we are done coloring. Okay, so I recently got this contact paper that's like this wood grain, and I'm really liking it. So I do not have to have the grid paper here constantly. So here's the basic card, and what I did here was I adhered this first, so I will do that right now, and then I added dimensionals to the frame, and of course the baker's twine, the black baker's twine. I thought the black baker's twine just kind of added a nice country look. You could probably try some of the other twines, the more natural looking ones. That would probably look pretty too. This is sort of a more or less a masculine card. I did not, I stamped the sentiment after the fact, and the reason is I wanted to make sure that I got enough, it fit into the frame in a pleasing manner. So if you want to do that ahead, you could. And I'm looking for my dimensionals, and they've kind of fallen down in my container a little bit. All right. I am thinking I do not have my big ones with me, which is sort of a bummer. So I would definitely think big ones would be better here, but we will make do. And if I have to, I will try to slip a few in, a big one. So just imagine these are the big dimensionals, not these little bitty ones. These are kind of a little bit of a joke for this project, but surprisingly, it probably will do the job. All right. So note to self, remember to bring some dimensionals over to where I film. It's always something. I always forget something, I feel like. So I'm just going to create a little bit of an accent here. So I probably should have done this the reverse way. That probably would have been a little simpler. Okay, so I just want to, again, create a little bit of an accent. Nothing too big or fancy. Bring in my scissors here. Snip some off. And then I will just secure a little knot. Ooh. Of course, my fingers feel like thumbs, sometimes dealing with fine baker's twine. We'll get this though. It's only a knot. It's not even a bow. I can do it. Yes, I can. All right. So that I will trim this after I add it, and then I can see if I need to shift it at all or anything. So these dimensionals. I get these little backings all over the floor. It's crazy. But you can't live without dimensionals. If you're a crafter or a stamper, card maker, you definitely, once you can start using them, you can't stop because they really add a very nice touch. Okay, so I will now just attempt to center this. I think that looks pretty good. Those little dimensionals are actually doing a pretty good job. All right, so the next thing is to add this, and I do feel like I should have slid this down just a teeny bit. I will go ahead and trim it a little bit. So you could spread this out or even leave it like a solid, more solid look. Okay, so gotta slide her down a little more. All right. Okay, that looks pretty good now. So I obviously do not want dimensionals here and not on his feet. So I'm going to just hold on to this part and remember that I do not want it on his feet. That's what I have to do. I put my hand where I don't want it, and if there's a second place or something, I try to remember that. That's how I do it because I'm kind of lazy a little bit here. I don't want to take the time to mark it in a real, way that would, like with a pencil or something. Okay, so here we have him, and he's just really cute, I think, a rooster. And next is the sentiment. I know that's a little backward, and normally I would never suggest doing that, but this is such a small sentiment, just a note, that you can definitely get away with it. Make sure it's well inked, or in this case, it's too well inked. Nothing's worse than if it's too well inked and it makes a big mess on your card too. So you have to guard against that. Now, sorry about my head, but I do want to make sure I get this nice and straight. Okay, so just a note. And then in the inside, I wanted to add this sentiment, which is enjoy the simple moments. I can't read. Whoa. All right, another head scene. Sorry about this, but it bugs me if I get it crooked. So there we have it. I hope you enjoyed this. And if you did, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. I have been making these tutorials for about 1 year, coming in April, and I'm hoping I'm getting better. I'm feeling more confident anyhow. So I will bring back in my little template here, show you that one last time. And I hope you enjoyed watching this. And again, please consider subscribing. You can see each card is a little different. Here I added a little bit more of the pineapple punch. Here, just more of the plain flirty flamingo. And it's just, they all look great, it's spectacular. So I hope you enjoy it and we'll give it a try. Thank you so much for watching. Happy stamping.